Well, hello there. Have you ever had to do a group project? They can be hard, but they're very important. Almost all great things are accomplished by teams of people working towards a goal. Think about some amazing construction projects near your home or around the world, or maybe some fascinating scientific work, or maybe your favorite sports team, or maybe a video game you love. These are all examples of group projects where people work together in groups to create great things. Your teacher is about to assign you a group project. A group project can be a lot of fun and a great way to learn if you plan it and run it well. In this short video, we'll help you learn how to organize, plan, and do a group project using Microsoft Planner. In this course, we'll be using Microsoft Planner as the tool for organizing and tracking your work. You can do similar with a sheet of paper or a spreadsheet. So if you don't have access to Microsoft Planner, you'll need to adapt the ideas we teach you in this course to another way of tracking your work plan. Today we're going to cover 4 things. What is a project? How do you use Microsoft Planner? How do you organize a project? And how do you track a project? Let's start by talking about what a project is. A project has a goal. That's something you need to do. Now what could that be? This is simply the assignment. Read the assignment carefully. It will tell you what your teacher is expecting to be in the work and likely how it will be marked. Your project has a beginning date. That's the date you'll start your project work, and it's probably the date your teacher has given you your group project. A project also has an end date. That's the day your project is due and needs to be handed in or presented. It's very important to understand when a project needs to be completed and to have all of your work done by that date. A project gets broken down into a series of tasks. If you were told that you needed to build a boat by next week, you'd be mistaken if you jumped into the project by grabbing some materials and trying to make something that floated. You'd want to break down the project into smaller chunks of doable work. These are called tasks. For example, you might have tasks like understand the requirements, design the boat, cut materials, build the boat, and test the boat. Some of these tasks might get broken down even further. For example, the design boat task might have design hull, design seating, design propulsion, design steering, and more. As you think about the tasks that go into your project, you'll notice that your tasks will have an order to them. In our boat example, you can't test your boat before you build your boat. Building the boat has to come before testing the boat. There are 2 types of work we should talk about right now. One is sequential work and the other is parallel. Sequential work needs to happen in sequence with some work happening before other work can start. Tasks that happen before other work are called predecessors. Work that happens after predecessors are called successors. For example, if you were building a house, the foundation needs to be poured before you put up the walls, and the walls need to be framed and put up before you can put up the roof. With sequential work, you might have a situation where everyone has to work on the same task together, or only one person can work at a time. The other type of work is parallel. This means that people can work on separate tasks at the same time. Going back to our house, if the work is progressing, you might have an electrician wiring up the house at the same time as the plumber is installing the kitchen sink, and another person is putting in the doors. As you create your plan for your project, you'll want to think about which work needs to be sequential and which work can be parallel, and assign work to your team members to help you all be as efficient and effective as you can be at finishing your work together. Speaking of your project team, the project will be created by your team. This is the group of people that you're working with. This might be a couple of people or a bunch of people. As a team member, you're going to need to contribute equally with the rest of the group so that you can all be successful together. Back to our course outline. We've talked about what a project is. Now we'll look at Microsoft Planner. Microsoft Planner is a simple web-based tool that runs in your browser, and you can use this to quickly document, organize, and update the status of work that you need to do. Planner is very much like a to-do list, but it allows you to share and collaborate on tasks with your team. Let's roll up our sleeves and play with Microsoft Planner. If you can't use Planner, you might be able to use some paper cards or a spreadsheet to create a similar style of plan. Open up a browser and go to tasks.office.com. Your teacher or someone at the school should have set you up on Planner. If you aren't, please pause the video now and see if you can get that done. You can also access Planner through Microsoft Teams or as an app on your phone. When you get to Planner, you'll see the Hub view. Here you can see all the plans that you're involved in and all the work that you've got assigned. Let's create a new plan. It's easy to do. Hit the New Plan link. We'll give the plan a name. This is going to be the Build a Cardboard Boat project. Hit Create Plan. Planner will take a moment to create the plan. Then we come into the board view. In the board view, you can start adding cards that will represent work, and we can move these cards between different work buckets. Just a note before we start, you may have a different view when you start a plan, depending on if you've already used Planner. In that case, you may have your view grouped in different buckets than shown here. More on that in a couple of minutes. Planner is built so that you can add tasks and additional details as you go, such as the due date and the work assignment. But we're just going to add tasks to start with and come back to our list to add details. Let's just start by thinking about the work we need to do first. Click the plus to add tasks. This opens a new card for you in the to-do bucket. Give your tasks a name. Tasks should always reference work that you want to do using a verb and a noun. For example, list requirements. Create design. Draw a pattern. Print pattern. Get cardboard. Get duct tape. Cut the pattern. And so on. One interesting thing with Planner is that multiple people can be adding work together inside the plan at the same time. So your entire group can collaborate on putting the plan together if everyone has the plan open at the same time on different computers. Now you should have a list of tasks that you need to do, but they aren't in the order you want. Let's order them so that they make sense. Click on the first task and pull it to the top. Then grab the next one and pull it to the top. And so on until you have your list in the order that makes sense. Now you've got your work organized in the order you need to get it done, but how do you know who's going to do it and when the work needs to be done? Let's add some detail to your tasks now. We want to assign work and add dates to each task, so for each card in the plan, we'll add the name of the person who's going to do the work and the start and due dates. We'll start with list requirements. I can add notes here if I want, for example describing what we're expecting as an outcome from the task. You'll see there's more detail we can add in here, like the bucket the task is in, priority labels, a checklist of subtasks, and attachments. We won't worry about that today, but you should experiment with all of it to understand other things you can do to make your planning more effective. Finish adding the details for the rest of the tasks. You might have a few tasks at the end of your project for finalizing your work. This might include, for example, proofreading everything and putting it together into your project, presentation, or model, depending on what you're doing. You might assign everyone to this work, and it will be dependent on everyone finishing their assigned work that leads up to the final few steps. Also, remember your final task. For your group project, that will be handing the project in. Probably you'll want to assign this to everyone on your team. The date on this final task will be the date that the project is due. In the board view, it's hard to see how tasks relate to one another, but in the schedule view, Planner organizes work in a standard calendar, and you can see the relationship between tasks better. From the schedule view, you can grab tasks and rearrange them. This is an easy way to organize work. Remember we talked about parallel and sequential work? This is an easy way to get a picture of what work is parallel and what work is sequential. Our sample project we're playing with here is best suited mostly to sequential work, so we'd want to assign several people to each task. Where's that final task? Everything has to be finished before this task happens. If anything is going to run late, you may have to adjust your work estimates on some of the prior tasks so that the work lines up and finishes before this task. Let's use some buckets to organize and progress our project. Let's go back to the board view. In the top right corner here, we have a filter with predefined buckets. Let's start by looking at how work is assigned. Planner creates a bucket for each person on the team. If you have people who aren't showing up here, you can simply assign some work to them and they'll start to show up. This is a good view so that you can see all of the work that's assigned to everyone on the team. Ultimately, you would expect that all of the work each person has assigned to be about equal to everyone else. Need to reassign some work? Grab a card from somebody's bucket and simply drop it into the other person's bucket. Let's look at another set of predefined buckets. In the top right corner, pick Progress. This gives you 3 new buckets: Not Started, In Progress, and Completed. This is an easy way to move your work forward and see your project progress. Right now, everything is the Not Started bucket. Let's start your project. Grab your first task and move it to In Progress. Notice that you now have an icon showing a half full circle. Planner has updated this progress to In Progress. Are you done the work? Grab it and move it to the completed column. Now the task has a green check mark and the task name is crossed out. It's also marked as completed with the date that it's completed. Let's start the Create design as well. If you go back to the schedule view, you'll see that the completed task is shown in green with a check mark and that the In Progress task is shown with a half full icon. That's all there is to Planner. It's pretty straightforward. There are several options that we didn't cover in this short introduction. You should play around with Planner a bit to learn more about how it works and what you can do with it. There are a couple of links in the YouTube description below that can provide more in-depth training for Planner. Let's take a moment for a short exercise. This will give you a chance to practice using Planner on your own. In this exercise, the goal is to create a plan for going on a trip. Your trip could be to another city, to a local park, or to another planet. Have some fun with your plan. The purpose here is really to try out Planner and to create about 10 tasks. Where will you go? How will you get there? Do you need to buy tickets? When will you buy those? What do you need to take? When will you pack? How will you get back home? Plan carefully. Your teacher may want you to present your plan when you're done. Pause the video here while you set up your plan. Okay, remember we talked about the four main things we're going to learn today. Now we've described how to use Microsoft Planner. Next up, we'll talk about organizing a project using Microsoft Planner. For our example today, let's say you've been assigned a science project about creating an electromagnet. Your teacher has given you an assignment that says, describe what an electromagnet is, give examples of 3 electromagnets and how they are used in your home, your car, or industry, build a small electromagnet using simple AA batteries. Use your electromagnet to lift 5 paper clips. Do a 5-minute presentation to the class to show what an electromagnet is, to provide examples of how they're used, and to show your electromagnet working. The project starts today and is due in 2 weeks. Next up, have a close look at the assignment. Read the assignment several times as a team. Go over it carefully so you really understand what your teacher wants and when the project is due. This is your opportunity as a team to figure out what you're trying to do with the project. What things are in the assignment that are important to look for? What is your assignment about? What is your teacher telling you that the project needs to accomplish? How long does it need to be? How are you going to deliver it? A document? A presentation? A model? Also, when is it due? Discuss all of this with your team and take the opportunity to ask your teacher questions. Creating your plan for your group project is really a pretty simple process. It starts when you get your assignment and your group gets together for the first time. Start by getting your team together. In case you don't already know one another, spend a few minutes with some introductions. Who are you? What do you like to do? Go around the group and learn a bit about each other. Once you know what you're going to do, you need to break the project into doable pieces of work you and your group members can work on and create these tasks in Planner. Using the interactive capabilities of Planner, you can also assign tasks, set dates, and tune your plan using the task cards, buckets, and schedule views in an interactive way with your team as you collaborate on the plan. This means that you're free to assign work, set dates, and move tasks around at any time as you're developing your plan. Let's jump into Planner and see how this works. Let's start by creating our project in Planner by choosing to create a new plan. Then we'll give the plan a name. Once the project is created, we'll take a minute to add our team members to it. In the Members pull-down on the top right, we can simply type in the name of our team members and select them to add them to our team. You can add your team members or add people to your team at any time. Then we can go about adding the task cards for our project. We do this while thinking about the final outcome of the project and what we need to do to satisfy the requirements for it, as laid out in the assignment. Let's add the tasks now. In our example, we have created cards for all tasks, and then we're going to go back and add assignments and dates. Planner allows you the flexibility to add tasks, assignments, dates, and other details at any time. Let's add some assignments, dates, and other details now, starting from our last task, which is the due date for this project. You can also rearrange the tasks at any time to suit the way you like to organize the work. In this case, we're going to arrange it from start to end. You might want to add notes to task cards. This will allow you to document what you expect the outcome of each task to be. You can also click the checkbox to make the description visible on the card. Using buckets, you can sort and group your project work in many ways. Let's say, for example, that we want to group by research, documents, building and testing our experiment, and finalizing our documents. We create the buckets at any time in this view and drag and drop task cards into the buckets. We can use the assign buckets to see if we have any unassigned work, and to assign that through simple drag and drop. We can also see here that we have our work balanced roughly among our team. Let's take a look at the schedule now to see how well we've laid things out. We can start tuning this now by dragging tasks around or by using the information dialog box to adjust dates. As you tune your schedule, you may find that you are rebalancing dates, durations, and assignments iteratively while collaborating with your team. With Planner, you will find that you can bounce around easily from the schedule view to the boards view. This will make it easier to see who is assigned to what work and when, which will help you make your plan better. So that's a quick tour of how you can make a project plan using Microsoft Planner. After getting together with your group and reviewing the assignment, you use Planner through an iterative and collaborative process to create your tasks, assign the work, set dates, and tune the plan. Did you miss anything in your plan? Take a few minutes to review the assignment again and be sure you are covering everything. If you think about other tasks you need to do to finish your project, you can always add those into your plan at any time. Once you think you have a good plan created in Planner, show it to your teacher and get your teacher's help in making sure your team does have a good plan for creating your project and getting the work done on time. Now you've got the basic idea, it's time for you to try creating a plan as a group using Microsoft Planner. In this exercise, you're going to work in a small group of 3 to 4 people. Like our last exercise, the goal is to create a short project plan. Let's set the scene for your group project. Your assignment is to plan a simple science fair project. A science fair is an opportunity to test your hand at some science and for you to present your science projects to your classmates in the community. Here are some things you'll need to know about the science fair project so you can make your plans. The science fair is going to be in 1 month. You'll need to choose your project. You'll need to have a hypothesis and plan for testing that. You'll need to research the topic and have an exhibit that includes information for people to read as part of a small exhibit. You'll also need to write up your hypothesis, experiment, results, and conclusions, and to present this as part of your exhibit. You'll need to be able to demonstrate your experiment that proves or disproves your hypothesis. Finally, you'll need someone on your team to do a short presentation to the judges to tell them about your experiment, the results, and what you learned. Remember the planning steps. Get your team together, review the assignment, use Planner through an iterative and collaborative process to create your tasks, assign the work, set dates, and tune the plan. Review your plan with your team and get your teacher to check it. You don't actually have to do this science fair project, you simply need to make a plan for it. Okay, take 30 minutes and create your plan. When you're done, you and your group will present your plan to the class. Pause the video here while you create your plan. Okay, back to the 4 things we're learning today. We've described what a project is, we've shown you how to use Microsoft Planner for planning and managing your project, and we've talked about organizing a project using Planner. The last thing we'll talk about today is updating your project status. Making a plan is important as it helps everyone in your group know what is expected of them and when the work is due. Just as important is tracking the plan and keeping it updated so that you can be sure you're on track. There are a few steps in doing this. Get together with your group and check in on the status. Review what needs to be done, what is being done, and what is done. Update your schedule with the progress and adjust your plans if you need to. Check in with your teacher to keep your teacher updated on your work and to help tune your plan if you need to. Let's do this in Microsoft Planner. As your team works on the project, you'll want to update your plan to show what work has been done, by who, and how much work is left to do. A great way to do this while you're working on your group project is to take a few minutes every day and get together in your group. Open up your plan in Planner and use the various board groupings and schedule views to see what people are supposed to be working on and to update the status on the work. As you do this, everyone should show what they're working on, and you can update your plan to show what work is started and what work is done. There are a variety of views in Planner that make this easier. From the hub, you'll see all of the projects you're part of. Some projects may be pinned to your view. When they are pinned, you get a handy chart that shows you a high-level status view of your project. How many tasks are left to complete? How many are in progress? How many are late? The information is all here. You can pin a project to your dashboard simply by hovering over the project's card and selecting the little stick pin icon. You can click on the project and drill down into it to get to the details. In your project, there are a set of charts. This gives you more detailed information about your plan and progress. In here, you can see the status by bucket, priority, person, and more. There are several ways to update the progress on an activity. If we're in a board view and focused on a task, you can simply click on the open circle. This will mark the activity with a green check mark. If we look at the progress buckets, you'll see this one is now complete. Also, if we look at the schedule view, it's marked in green and with a check mark. If we group by due date, we can see which tasks are late, which are due today, and which are due in the future. This is a good view to use when talking with your team about your status. A second way to mark your status is to click on the tasks card and open up the details. Here you can mark the progress with the pull down. When a task is in progress, it is marked with a blue half circle. Over on the progress board, that task is shown in the In Progress column and marked with a half circle again. Once again, the task can be marked as complete simply by clicking on the open circle. The completed tasks are hidden at the bottom of your bucket list. You can click on the completed tasks pull down to see the completed cards in each bucket. The third way to mark progress on a task is to go to the Planner board grouped by status. Here you can simply drag and drop cards into the right status. By dragging the cards around, Planner automatically updates the status. Back to the charts. The updates that we've done are reflected automatically in your charts. The charts are a good way of showing your teacher what work has been done and who's done it, and what work is still outstanding. Over to the schedule and you can see the progress we've been making here. A fourth way of doing your updates is simply to click on a task in the schedule and go into the information, where you can update the progress. That's all there is to it. Updating your group project in Microsoft Planner is easy. As you update your plan, you may find that there's other work that needs to be done and assigned, and that should be added to your plan. You may also find that some of your original planned work doesn't make sense anymore. Don't be afraid to change your plan. Review your updated plan with your teacher. Talk about the progress you've made, any problems you're having with unstarted or incomplete work. Also, talk about any additions or changes you think should be made to your plans. Your teacher should be able to help you with any problems you have in terms of getting work done. When you're done, make sure your entire plan has check marks showing what work was done and who did it. Your teacher may want you to provide the planner plan with your project. This will help your teacher know who did what work on each part of the project. That's it. That's all there is to keeping track of the project status. Let's wrap this short course up with another quick exercise using Microsoft Planner. In this exercise, you're going to work in small groups of 3 to 4 people. Like our last exercise, the goal is to create a short project plan, but this time we're going to status it as well. Let's set the scene for your group project. Your assignment is to plan a short and simple game for another group. The game must only take 15 minutes to play. Will it be paper, rock, scissors, Simon Says, musical chairs, charades? You get to choose what the game is. The game will happen in 90 minutes. That is to say, your due date is 90 minutes from now. So this is going to be a short planning, doing, and statusing exercise. You have to assume that you're going to be teaching people who have never played the game before. So you're going to need to provide them some background on the game and some training. You'll have to do a little research, a little setup, and a short presentation for training. You'll need to decide what the game is. Maybe you'll need to know the history of the game. Where did it come from? Who invented it? You'll need to document the rules so that people can read them. You'll need to provide training. You might need props like something to play music or paper for people to draw on. What else will you need to have in place to make your game successful? Remember the planning steps. It should only take you 10 or 15 minutes to set up your plan. Once you've got your plan set up, work through it and get ready to teach another group a game. Since we're going fast in this exercise, we'll have you stop every 10 minutes, rather than daily, to do a status update on your plan. Remember the steps to update your status. Okay, go. The due date is 90 minutes from now. Pause the video here while you create your plan. Okay, let's look back at the course content. We've described what a project is, we've talked about how to use Microsoft Planner, we've talked about organizing a project, and now we've finished by talking about simple updates to your project status. Thanks for paying attention to this short course on creating and managing a project. We hope this will help you organize your group work and make group work more interesting, more fun, and more successful.